Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today's video I am going to be going through and telling you all my tips and tricks on how I take and edit my Instagram photos for Instagram. It's been something that's been quite requested recently, so I just thought I'd sit down and yeah, just go through everything and basically just tell you what I do to take my Instagram pictures. Here is what my Instagram looks like currently, and if you aren't already following me then be sure to do that. I always link my socials in the description box below, so go and check them out if you want to. And yeah, without further ado, let's get on with it. Let's start at the beginning, and I'm going to talk through the equipment that I use to take my Instagram pictures as well as the actual process of how I do that. So I just use my phone to take my Instagram pictures. It's the iPhone 11 in white. It's just the standard iPhone 11, it's not the Pro or anything. It seems to do the trick. The camera on this is pretty insane. There isn't really much more that I'd want from the iPhone for taking pictures, so I don't feel the need to use a camera. So yeah, I just use my phone. If I am standing my phone up on something, I will use a tripod, or if I'm just taking pictures in the mirror, I'll obviously just hold the phone myself. But the tripod I use is just the Amazon Basics tripod, and I also bought a iPhone attachment for that. I will make sure to link them down below if you want to go and buy one for yourself. It's super handy having an iPhone attachment for a tripod. It's literally changed the game for me. It's insane. The phone attachment also came along with a little remote, which is so helpful for when I'm taking Instagram pictures, because it just means that I can pose and use the remote in my hand to take the photos rather than having to keep going back to the phone and tapping the timer button and all that. It's super helpful, so I definitely recommend getting an iPhone attachment with a remote. The remote just connects to my phone by Bluetooth. I also use my iPhone to edit my pictures. I don't use my laptop or anything, and the apps that I use to edit them are pretty much just Lightroom, Visco, occasionally Facetune, and I think that's about it. Moving on to how I actually take the pictures, it's pretty self-explanatory. Given that we've all kind of had to improvise recently with being in lockdown and things, we've all had to take pictures kind of in our houses. I've kind of just made sure I've had a plain background to take my photos. This can just be a plain white wall like this one that I'm sitting in front of, or equally, if you don't have a plain white wall, using a bed sheet is so helpful. Bed sheets have been a godsend for me during lockdown. If I've wanted to take pictures outside, I've just put a bed sheet on my washing line and posed in front of that if I wanted the sun in the pictures and things. We have grey carpets in our house, which I think would fit my Instagram theme quite well, but I do equally just lay a bed sheet on the floor just to kind of make the wall and the floor blend a lot easier, because obviously a white wall and a grey floor, it's a bit obvious that there's a change between the two, whereas a white wall and a white floor, it just kind of blends nice and seamlessly. So yeah, I basically just find a plain white wall, which I have in my bedroom and in my living room, and I put the bed sheet on the floor, and then I go ahead and set my phone up into the tripod and just take pictures of whatever it is that I want to take pictures of. For me, I take pictures of outfits, I take selfies, I take pictures of myself, I take pictures of products and flat lays and kind of things like that, so a white bed sheet is perfect for all of those. I think that touched base on everything regarding how I actually take the photos or what I use to take the photos, so if there is anything that you don't think I've touched base on or a question you want to ask, then feel free to comment that down below and I'll be sure to answer that for you. Yeah, moving on now into how I actually edit my Instagram pictures. I am going to scoot myself over to this side of the screen so that I can put my phone on here. Okay, hopefully you can now see my phone screen on here, and I'm just showing you currently the folder with all the apps that I use to take my Instagram photos. I did forget to mention earlier actually that I use the app UNUM or UNUM, whatever you want to call it, and I use that to plan my Instagram feed. I'll go into a little bit more detail after I've shown you how I edit them, but yeah, that's basically what I use to plan my feed. So I have Unum, Visco, Lightroom, Unfold, which is more for Instagram story templates, Facetune, Tezza, Colortone, and we're going to forget about YouTube Studio because that is, I didn't know where to put it, But that has nothing to do with how I take my Instagram pictures. So yeah, basically once I've taken all of my photos, I will import them all into Lightroom. I've selected a few of the Instagram pictures that I've taken this week just to show you like how I edit them. It's a mix between like outfit pictures and pictures of myself and selfies, as well as like products or like things and objects. So once I have imported all of the pictures into Lightroom, I'm just going to go ahead and click on one to edit. And what I do is I just scroll across to the preset section, and in here I have a bunch of presets that I've made myself. The only one in here that I use at the moment is the basic edits preset. It's pretty much just all the basic little edits that I want to do to a photo, like editing the colours and a bit of the exposure and things. I'm going to go through and show you specifically what each thing is set to, but I basically just did that one edit to one photo and I liked how it looked, so I saved it as a preset so that I can then go ahead and just put it on every single photo. So here is a before of what the picture looked like without the basic edits, and here is an after. Obviously, as you can see, it just makes everything look a little bit more white and clean. I'm going to go across to the light panel so you can see what I've done. So I've upped the exposure a little bit. I've not really messed with the contrast, although I feel like for this one my hair needs a little bit of a boost, so we're going to up the contrast a tiny bit. With presets, they're not always a one-touch preset. You do need to go in and tweak things depending on each individual photo. That's just something to bear in mind. I've turned down the highlights a little bit. I've not really touched the shadows, and I've pulled down the whites. The whites doesn't massively change much, but I feel like when they were at 0 they were a little bit overpowering, so I have just pulled them down a bit. Moving on to the color panel, what I do in here is I literally go up to the right hand corner and click on mix, and then you can edit each color individually. For red, I haven't really done much other than pull the luminance down a bit. Same for orange, I've turned the saturation down a tad and pulled down the luminance. This makes me look a little bit more tanned, so if there is a day where I feel a little bit washed out on a photo, I can pull down the luminance of the orange, and it does kind of just make me feel a little bit more tanned and not too pale. Yellow is the one that I think makes the most difference. A lot of the time in photos taken against a plain white wall, or particularly for me, I find that my photos seem to have quite a yellowy tinge. So what I do is I just pull down the saturation of the yellow. It counteracts the whole yellow vibes and gets rid of that, which is great. So I'll show you what it looks like without that. That is what the photo looks like with the saturation at 0 for the yellow, and if I pull that back down to where it was, you can see that the photo just looks completely different. It really boosts the whites and just gets rid of all the yellows. And yeah, I really like the way that looks. I'm really not a fan of the whole yellow vibe, so I'm glad we can get rid of that. I pull the saturation of the greens down. I don't really touch the blues that much. I don't touch the purple or pinks at all. Yeah, that's basically it for the colours, and I don't really do anything with these whole effects and details panels. I do other things in VSCO to tweak those, so I'm not going to do anything with that. And yeah, that's basically all I do for the basic edits. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on the 3 dots at the top and just copy the settings. You can either copy the settings or just apply the preset again, but I'm just going to go ahead and paste that onto all these photos. I'm going to go ahead and export those to my camera roll. So I'm going to go ahead and add all of these into VSCO. I have bought like the full version of VSCO. I think you pay something like £19 a year. If I'm honest, I haven't really used many of like the premium filters. I have literally just been using the free ones, so I don't really know if it's that worth it. It just kind of depends if you find a filter that is a premium one, whether or not you want to buy the full version, but I don't think I will be renewing the subscription because I literally just use the free presets. So VSCO has an option where you can save favorite presets, so I'll go through those and show you some of my favorite presets on here. So we've got M5, LV2, LV3, HP2, C7, B6, A9, A6, A4, AV4, C1, AL5, J1 and J6. So they are the ones that I've kind of been experimenting with over the last couple months, but the presets I've been using at the moment are A9, A6 and A4, and I've just kind of been messing between the 3 and seeing which one fits each photo. I have really been loving A4, however I do turn it down to like below 5. It depends on each photo, but it's anywhere between like 3 and 5. Then I go ahead and just tweak anything else that I think needs tweaking now that I've got a preset on it. So I might bump up the contrast again a little bit more, maybe turn down the highlights a little bit as well, and I also like to add grain, but to do this I just zoom in so I can see how much it distorts the image. If you add too much grain, obviously you can see that it kind of just messes with the picture, so I'm going to kind of stick it to around 2.5 I think. And then pretty much the final thing that I do in VSCO is just crop the image to a 4:5 ratio. You've probably heard it already, but 4:5 is the best ratio to have on Instagram. It takes up like the most of the screen, and it just means that your image is like obviously taking up the most of someone else's screen, which means they'll see it and like see it to its full glory. And yeah, that's basically it. There's a little before and after. So we'll go ahead and save that. Similarly to Lightroom, I literally just copy and paste the edits. But once again, it's just important to note that you will have to go in and change some things. Like this one, I think the contrast is too high, so I'm going to just take that down and crop that. And yeah, that's basically it for VSCO. Once I finish editing those photos, I'm going to pull them all into the app Unum, which is, as I said, what I use to plan my Instagram feed. So currently this is what my Instagram feed looks like. You can see all the pictures with the little Instagram logo on are the ones that have already been posted, and then as I scroll up you can see there are photos there that are waiting to be posted. So something to bear in mind is the kind of layout you want your Instagram feed to look like. Some people just post any picture in any format in any way. For me, I do a little grid thing where basically I post a photo of myself, then I post a photo of something that's not me or that's an outfit, then a photo of myself, then one that's not me. But it creates this nice little dotted effect. It really just depends on how your Instagram feeds look. This is something you can experiment with. There are lots of different layouts that you can find examples of on like Pinterest and things, so it's really depending on what you want your Instagram feed to look like. As you can see here, I have blank spaces where I'm yet to fill pictures of like myself. This one here, the picture of the Vogue magazine, is what I'm posting up next, and basically all I'll do is go ahead and click export and just post to Instagram, and it'll take it straight to Instagram for me where I can then post it on my feed. I also asked you guys over on my Instagram stories if there was anything specifically you would want to know. Oh, hello. I've been joined by my cat, so if you can hear purring, then that's where it's coming from. Yeah, I asked you guys over on my Instagram stories if there was anything specifically you wanted to know. I'm just going to go through those Instagram questions real quick, just to make sure I've definitely gone over everything you wanted to know. So let's do that now. Okay, so someone said, do you edit your photos? If so, what software? So obviously I've already touched base on that, but yes, I use Lightroom and VSCO, and that's about it. Which apps do you use to edit your feed? I'm obsessed. Lots of love. Thank you very much. So yeah, I use Unum to plan my feed. There are lots of different apps that are alternative to Unum, so just find whichever one suits you best. How do you enhance the whites on your photos? I pretty much just mess around with exposure and whites on Lightroom, and then if there's anything specifically that I want to whiten, I'll go into Facetune and use the whitening tool, but that's pretty much it. Good lighting. Take your pictures near a window. A white wall always helps because it reflects the light. Take your pictures outside on a good day. The best lighting to take pictures outside is cloudy weather, because sometimes when the sun is shining it's too intense and it really kind of washes out your photos and kind of just distorts your images. So if you're wanting to take pictures outside, like I said earlier, with a white background, then I'd recommend cloudy weather, obviously as long as it's not going to rain. But yeah, what filters do you use? I use any of the A9, A6 and A4 on VSCO, and I think that's pretty much it. Are you coming to say hello? Bella wants a cuddle, so we're just gonna have a little cuddle for a sec. You just want attention, don't you? Yes. You sleepy kitty. She does this a lot. She just face palms my hand. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I touched base on everything that you wanted to know. As I've mentioned, if there is anything that you do want to ask or anything, then feel free to just comment that down below and I will be sure to answer them for you. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and smash that subscribe button whilst you are down there. I will see you guys super soon with a new video. Peace out, thanks a bunch, and goodbye!